everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fly Me to the Philippines.
We're going to cover an amazing story of what brought Edelita back to the Philippines. And Roel, you are coming back full-time within the next year or two.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully. And we're going to talk about a telemedicine service that's available now in the Philippines that can make, it's like a hack. Everybody wants a hack, a tip, a secret way to navigate the Philippines and get decent medical care at a good price without having to wait in that waiting room for hours. And then we're going to talk about your story. You were watching us here on this patio and you kind of made a decision to come back to the Philippines after being physicians for 15 years in America. And you're opening up an assisted living facility here in Cagayan de Oro. Did you ever wonder how you could find an American-trained physician here in the Philippines to help you sort through which doctor, which medicine, which clinic, where's the best place to get treatment, who to talk to about a diagnosis that you've received, or where to go to get a diagnosis? One of the things we hear often, Chrissy, is people are confused and they're worried about medical care here in the Philippines.
If that's your concern, you might want to watch this.
We're here today with two special guests, Edelita and Roel, physicians who have lived in the United States for most of the last 15 years, practicing internal medicine. And we have a story and a resource for you today.
Dr. Roel and Dr. Edelita is from here in CDO, in Cagayan de Oro City, and they finished their medicine degree here in Xavier University.
When I met Roel and Edelita, I learned something I never knew. I thought if you went to medical school here and you went to nursing school here, you were going to get demoted when you went to America and you wouldn't be able to step in and be a physician or be a registered nurse. You'd have to kind of change bedpans. Guys, tell us your backstory and how that myth is not true.
Well, that myth is not true. First of all, when you graduate here, we graduated in Xavier University here in medicine, and then you have to register as a foreign medical graduate, like you're a foreigner who graduated in medical school in a foreign country, basically. And you can take the United States medical licensure exam, and if you pass that exam, if you get good grades on that exam, you can apply to hospitals in the US for residency training. That is what we did. So we finished the United States medical licensure exam. The first two, there's four exams. The first two we finished, and then we went to the US, took the third test, which is more of a practical test. And after that, we were qualified to apply.
Now, there's a little story here, Edelita. You failed the first two times to get your tourist visa to go to America to take your practical number 3 exam.
Yes.
And the third time, what happened?
So the third time, I did not turn my back from the consul because I've already extended my permit to take the exam, and you can only extend once. Otherwise, your payment gets forfeited. So for the third time, they denied me of the visa. And I just stood up there and said, no, I need to go. Cannot take no for an answer this time. Cannot allow anybody to cut my wings. I want to fly high. So the consul took a second look at me and said, when is the exam again? And so I said the exam date, and he said, okay, I'm going to give you just 1 month. And that's good for me. And that opened my opportunity to, take that long shot. He already had a visa.
Tourist visa.
Tourist visa. I didn't have one. Okay. We are not a couple yet at that time.
How old are you now?
I'm 45.
45.
45.
And you back then you graduated medical school, Xavier, a very prestigious school here in town. Up here in Uptown, they have a beautiful campus.
Yes.
And you took these 3 tests, and then what was the next step in the process?
The application. Because passing the board exam is not enough. You've got to make good grades because you're competing with other international, foreign medical graduates. And so the application is through electronic, and you have to apply as many programs as possible. So more entries you send, the more chances of winning.
Okay, so how many hospitals did you apply during that time?
We applied to 50 hospitals.
50.
That's a lot of hospitals.
Other foreign medical
What is it?
graduates
Did
would
it-
apply like 300.
Was it electronic and it was free, or each hospital
we
you had?
have to pay a fee for, like, for example, the first 20 hospitals you have to pay this fee, and then the additional 10 you have to pay this fee.
So how did it work out? Obviously, you became doctors in America, but what happened?
We matched to 2
Okay.
hospitals.
Interviewed. We got
We interviewed. And so we had to fly back to the U.S. for the interview.
And so ultimately, you were both accepted in Illinois. What was the
Yes.
program there?
It's the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign.
Okay, and-
Internal medicine.
And you were there for 6 years.
We trained there for
3.
3 years. We practiced outpatient internal medicine, adult medicine for 5.
So right away, you were a resident physician.
Yes.
Right, just as if you had graduated medical school here in the
Yes.
U.S. And you were there for 6 years. You're both internal medicine
Yes.
specialists, and you're USA doctors.
Yes.
And then after 6 years, you have 2 children that are teenagers now. You
Yeah.
moved to Arizona. And maybe the cold weather wasn't good for a Filipino.
No. At first, the snow looks great.
Yeah.
But after all the plowing or shoveling and the freezing
Yeah.
temperatures, it wears on you.
Yeah,
So we decided to move to a temperature that's closer to home, which is Arizona.
Yeah, a lot of people watching are not happy with the temperature at home. They're thinking about moving too.
So I am very curious, as a Filipinos who used to live in the Philippines, but then you were working in USA. Can you tell us about your experience working with the foreigner people in USA?
They are nice people. Unlike here in the Philippines, though, you have to be mindful of the time. So if you're a doctor there, if their appointment is like, for example, 9 o'clock, you have to be as close to 9 o'clock as possible to see them. And also, there's more electronic records that you have to do here. It's more paper. But overall, they are nice. It just takes some adjusting to drive and to, get used to the driving there. Here the rules are free for all, as you know.
Size
But I'd like
matters
to
here.
add
Yeah.
that as far as practicing medicine there and here, it's really very different. There, patients are expecting you to show up on time because the patients are scheduled. Very rarely you get accommodated on a walk-in basis.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll end up in an urgent care.
Yeah, right. Edelita, you're now in the Philippines full time, and you have a telemedicine practice that expats and Filipinos who live here could take advantage of, and we're going to provide some information. Because what I say is, in a perfect world, Edelita would live next door. She would have been a physician in the United States for 15 years, coming out of Illinois, Urbana, 6-year residency. She'd be pretty good doctor from America, and she would have grown up here in the Philippines and know the whole Xavier University network of professionals. And when you had a sore throat, or you had a lump, or you had to get a doctor or a doctor's appointment, or you needed a prescription refill, boy, it'd be awful nice if you could go next door and talk to Edelita. In a perfect world. Well, today, with technology and a telemedicine practice, tell us some of the advantages and benefits expats living in the Philippines and people thinking of moving to the Philippines as foreigners could gain by having somebody like you on a monthly subscription plan or with a specialty appointment to discuss their health.
I do take a monthly subscription plan for those expats who have not established with any doctors yet. I know trust is a big thing for any foreigner coming to the Philippines. And since I know how to navigate the medical system here and with our network in Cagayan de Oro, I think that's something that would greatly benefit them, taking off the worries and the anxiety that comes with their medical care. That's a big one big reason why some expats are still hesitant to come and live here, although they know they could see their life living beautifully here in the Philippines.
So just as if you live next door, I could have a monthly subscription call you up and tell you, I have a medical need, or a child in my house has a medical need, we're not sure where to go, we don't want to wait 2 hours to see a doctor. You could help us with scheduling what time to go. You'd find out when the doctor really comes in. You could refill a prescription that another doctor had already prescribed.
Yes, I am still licensed here in the Philippines, so medication refills and prescription, as long as I'm on board in that condition, I've reviewed very well the patient's history, then I'd be comfortable refilling or prescribing those meds. In terms of, since I'm only an adult medicine physician, the pediatrics is off of my table, but I certainly know some doctors here that I personally know, and I can refer them.
Okay, and in addition to your telemedicine practice that would be available to expats living here and those planning on coming here, you are starting an entrepreneurial endeavor, and you are almost complete with a 1,500 square meter assisted living facility just 3 miles south of here in Lumbia, right near Uptown CDO. And we're going to talk about that after you finish your backstory. So you had finished your residency. The cold weather was something you didn't want to embrace long term, and you had children at this point?
Yes.
So you decided to move to Arizona. What happened in your career in Arizona?
So I'm still practicing internal medicine in Arizona.
Yes.
Our kids, they were exposed to the Philippines because we kept traveling here and back to the U.S. maybe once a year, notwithstanding the lockdown. And then after that, they said they were stressed. They were having some issues at school. And so they had an experience of going to school here for a few months because my mother-in-law got sick, and she had to come here to help her out. And they went to school for about 6 months here in 2023. And then when they came back to the US, they were stressed again. So that was the signal to us that, hey, this is not right. We need to help our kids. They said, okay, we will think about going to the Philippines. This was last year. And that's when I started.
You started watching our channel.
Yeah, I started watching your background there. Like, man, they're living the life there.
It's so unusual to have a doctor in America who raised in the Philippines contact me and saying he's been watching Chrissy and I on the patio, thinking about becoming an immigrant back to it's not really an immigrant, but coming back to the Philippines like so many of us foreigners do.
Yes. So,
and your reasons, the children you feel would be more comfortable here. And financially, how are you looking at things financially?
So we're trying to make it work first with our assisted living community here. We offer good care. Like, we've been exposed to Arizona, we've been exposed here, so we can offer a mixed fused care, incorporating both the American values and the Filipino values to our assisted living.
Edelita, you guys decided to make the move, and it's a difficult thing. You have 2 medical licenses, and you're making medical doctor salaries in America. You're going to pick up and come to the Philippines. This is like...
We must be crazy enough.
Well, I've said before, like some airline pilots only make like $1,500 US a month, and some doctors make, $2,000 or $3,000 a month, not too much compared to America. So how have you manage the transition? I know we're going to talk about the assisted living facility that's about to open and go over the pricing and your entrepreneurial idea, but you're not both here full time yet. Roel, you're going back to America in a week.
No, it's in 2 days.
2 days, and you come every 6 months. So tell us how you've been here a year. So go through that. How you decided to stage this transition.
So the plan for assisted living started maybe 4 years back, but we're just waiting for the sign when to really jump off. The kids was a big, factor. Our parents aging here, and we decided, why should we wait too long? So the transition was not as difficult, I would say, for us because we lived here before and grew up here. It's just getting to know with what has changed, how much has changed. We also have a lot of support from both sides, from my family and his.
So you picked up the kids, quit your job. Now you had become sort of a health and wellness specialist.
Actually, as far as my job is concerned, it's not a big shift because I've already been doing telemedicine about 4 years prior to the move.
Okay.
So I just carried my, practice here as long as I have a Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah. Okay.
And the boys and the kids, they are, very welcoming with the change in a positive way.
So how long do you think until Roel joins the family full time?
Well, because right now,
You're like an OFW.
I am on hold.
Seaman.
Yes. So until we establish the assisted living and we get good enough income here to cover our day-to-day living expenses.
You're going to do the heavy lifting in America.
Yes, I'm going to store the stuff, in a storage facility, possibly rent out the house, and then come here.
So when you have started to plan about the assisted living here in the Philippines, in our barangay, actually, in CDO, what was your target patient or clients with that home? Are you targeting Filipinos or expats?
Our target is based off from what we observed and what we've heard. In the US, we all know that assisted living is something that's already kind of part of life. But in the Philippines, it's kind of a stigma. And you get criticized, perhaps, as a child to put your parents in an assisted living. So we have decided that our assisted living will be something that will open the minds of the Filipinos, that you're actually putting your parents in a place where they're more safer and well cared of. So we'll be targeting from the facilities that we have at home. We will be targeting expats, of course, and parents of expats. So those children who still are not at a ripe age to return for retirement, but they have parents still living in the Philippines. And it's a great challenge. I myself went through the challenge of that when I took care of my mom when she got sick 2 years ago. So that's our target too. And also for just anybody who maybe are here in the Philippines residing and don't want to be a burden to their children.
I get people all the time that tell me, Rob, I'm coming, but I have a 93-year-old father, or I have people that want to bring a 75-year-old mother with them, but they're worried. What type of fees would someone need to pay to be a patient?
So they have a choice. It's going to be based off of their accommodation. If they choose to be just by solo in a room, or double occupancy, or in a shared room where there's 3 or 4 of them. And another piece of the price determination is their level of care. So we still have to assess them because we're going to hire NC2 certified caregivers.
Right.
So the price starts at $35,000.
So like $600-ish US dollars. And that would be shared room with the lower level of care.
Yes.
And they get all their meals for that price?
That includes 3 meals, 2 snacks.
Some of these expats might think this is better than a hotel.
Well,
If they get to see you once a week, they'll be there.
Right. And I, the way I see it, and for Filipinos to kind of comprehend what assisted living is I'll just call it like an Airbnb for seniors.
Yeah.
So we've been getting some inquiries. They don't have any medical issues at all, and they're very mobile and ambulatory.
Yeah.
They just need to relax and enjoy life, and can't blame them.
Okay, so $600 US dollars roughly, based on the exchange rate. And then if you wanted a single room and a higher level of care, where are you going to max out?
That's probably around, I'd say around 100 if it's a single room, and 1:1.
100,000 pesos, which today is about $1,800 US dollars per month.
For a solo room. and a 1:1 caregiver.
1-to-1 caregiver. Oh, so you can.
24 hours.
Okay, wait. This is too good a deal. I'm going. I kind of have that set up here now with Chris. Same price.
Yeah.
So you get one-on-one, a registered nurse,
Caregiver.
registered caregiver,
An on-call nurse.
Just all she does is take care of you.
Yes.
But 2 shifts a day, 2 different caregivers. Their only job is to take care of you.
Yeah.
And you get a nice room 3 miles up the road from here.
Yeah.
And there's
Walk-in
a pool.
bathroom.
Your own walk-in bathroom?
Yes.
Okay, and a pool?
Yes.
And a pool in the facility.
What if I want to have a car parked out front?
That will figure.
Okay, so while we've been talking, I think you've seen some of the images of the construction and some of what the facility will look like. And then your plan is to build a second structure on the property.
Yes, we have space to build.
And how many rooms do you think that'll have?
It'll have, I think, 6 rooms, and we are going to configure that based on the demand. Configure meaning, is it going to be for solo or shared room?
Yeah.
So this is really going to be very based on what people
Yes.
are.
And the owners of the facility are you, Edelita, and Roel. And if you're there and you're not happy, someone's going to call you guys and say, "What's the medical situation here?"
Yeah.
That's a high level of care, as opposed to some giant careless corporation, right?
Yes, and we pride ourselves since the decision to move here from the U.S. is still to continue practicing our profession.
You're only 44, 45 years old.
Our vision is for seniors to be for health issues to be addressed as soon as possible, promptly. So they don't end up becoming a frequent flyer to the hospital and deteriorate.
Yeah.
So what we can manage in the home medically, we will. And of course, we know our limits.
Yeah.
So not all patients should go to the hospital. So if we can manage it at home, conserve with less exposure in the hospital, that's what we are going to do.
What about post-surgery recuperation? If somebody has a knee replacement or they've had a heart attack, and let's say they came a single man hoping to meet a wife or a Filipino, but they haven't quite met that woman yet. They have a health emergency here, but they had not planned on going back home. Would your facility be aftercare facility, short-term aftercare?
Short-term, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. We have a pricing for that. I just don't memorize it, but on a day-to-day basis, that will cover the same inclusions as those on a long-term care.
Chrissy, what do you think? You want to move in?
I'm feeling that you want to move in there.
And we've seen the prices of assisted living in the USA, and that's it's exorbitantly expensive.
4 or 5 times.
4 or 5, at least.
At least.
Yeah, and there's some huge corporation that just care about the bottom line, not 2 45-year-old physicians that are trying to start a successful business.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chrissy? Of that? What do you think our subscribers and viewers are thinking about this? It might give them the encouragement to take a leap. One of their big fears is medical care when they get here.
Here's what I am thinking right now. There are a lot of expats or aspiring expats that want to come here in the Philippines that they have these medical conditions and they are scared to be here and live alone. I think it is advantage for them to grab this opportunity that they will be here enjoying Philippines, and at the same time they're getting the care.
Right.
Somebody's giving them personal care, and it's just the same as the cost of living alone in expensive condo units or Airbnb.
And they don't have to go from a healthy, active lifestyle into the assisted living. They can have a monthly subscription relationship with Edelita, have her as their medical advisor, their next door neighbor, who can help with refilling their prescriptions, setting up appointments, giving them medical advice, and guiding them through their medical care, and eventually could put them in a post-surgery recuperation, and then one day for a relative or for themselves could put them in an Airbnb for healthcare.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you guys, we have an audience of wannabe expats and expats that are already here. Do you have any advice? What's the you know the Philippines?
Yes.
You grew up here. What advice would you have for people?
For me, I've lived here in the Philippines 2/3 of my life, my first 30 years. And then 1/3 of my life, I've lived in the United States. And despite that, I got to experience the comfort of the United States. I still prefer to come here, back. And and it's a big leap. And then I watched your channel, and it was great. I'm now learning from you that you took the leap. Well, we're gonna take a leap too. In due time, I'll be able to take a leap. But yes, as long as you find a very good Filipina, we've known a few of those where Lizelle and Tony, they work well in Hingog City. She's still working in the Department of Education over there. He comes here 6 months a year. They're living a great life.
Yeah.
He's saying, oh, she's a godsend to me.
Yeah.
As long as you find a suitable, ideal Filipina, it will work out.
I think not be in a rush. Believe that you can find one if you're really focused on finding the right one. Not the perfect, but the right one that you've envisioned your life to live with.
If you could pick one place in the Philippines, if you had a Western expat and they said, "Hey, you guys know the Philippines, I want to retire. Where's the best place to retire?"
With no bias, here in Cagayan de Oro.
Because you're from here. Okay.
And I have reasons for that. Number one,
what are those? Yeah.
Yeah, where it's just, if I want to be in the seaside or on the hillside, it's just roughly maybe like 15, 20 minutes. I can get to the beach. And I want to go up in the mountains. It's just 20 minutes probably.
10, maybe 10. We're almost halfway there.
Yeah. So I get the best of both scenery.
Yeah. We're kind of safe from typhoons for the most part, right?
Yes, that's one thing too. Yes.
I just read about it all the time, but thankfully...
Not here.
Not here. No.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of tourist attractions too. We're close to Camiguin Island, right?
Yeah. Whitewater rafting.
Whitewater rafting and with the comforts, the convenience of the modern lifestyle.
What about you, Roel? Other than Cagayan de Oro, do you have a favorite city that's you if you weren't working and you didn't have family here in town, where might you think about going to retire?
Well, I'm thinking of either Cebu or Davao. I've just been to Davao, and they are pretty organized out there. Cebu, you get all the
traffic,
but aside from that, the amenities.
A lot of good stuff if you can get to it.
Yes, if you can get to it.
They should get a subway.
The cost of living is also something that expats should keep in mind.
Yeah. And how much, people are always BGC, Makati, and I love Makati.
Yeah.
What do you think the cost of living differential is, BGC, Makati versus a city like Cagayan de Oro?
Oh, that's a big difference.
40%?
Roughly, in my opinion.
Roughly.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody's going to want to know what your telemedicine, because I got to be honest with you, we have a very good friend that was over for breakfast, and he has a telemedicine subscription plan in America. The doctor takes only 100 patients. He pays $1,000 a month to be able to call him whenever he wants and have that doctor like on his hip. Everybody's going to want to know, Pila, how much?
Pila. The monthly subscription that I'm going to start my practice with will be $100 US.
100 US dollars, so like 6,000 pesos roughly.
It's pretty much like a primary care, right? So there will have an opportunity to schedule an appointment with me, a calendar, link.
Yeah.
Do they conveniently schedule the appointment into my availability, and medication prescriptions and refills.
Referrals.
And referrals. Yes, and how to navigate around the medical system here.
Yeah.
And since we graduated here, we have specialists, colleagues that are now subspecialists in different fields that we have a network with. In fact, we have a chat group
Oh.
for all of us
Yeah, for
in our
the
class.
Xavier grads.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's
And
like,
you,
okay.
and you told me that you could, if I needed a doctor, instead of going at 8 a.m. and hoping the doctor was there when he actually comes in at 10, you would know to tell me to show up at 10 or 10:15 for my appointment, or no appointment. It's just really, you tell me when to go and minimize this kind of brain damage of waiting.
True.
That would be worth $100 a month. Just like I said, our friend downstairs was like, he's ready to sign up. He's got to go back to the U.S. and he's coming back, but he's ready. And I, think you guys are awesome, and it's great that you reached out to us. And thank you for coming for the interview. We'll have a link in the description box and the comment box. The very first comment. If you're watching on TV, you can click on the video description. It'll lead you to the comment box on your TV, and you'll be able to see how you can schedule an appointment and take advantage of the subscription plan that you're talking about. Don't forget to buy our book, Fly Me to the Philippines, #1 bestseller in Philippines travel. Unbelievable. If you're interested in a consulting appointment to talk to Chrissy and I, or an open source background check on someone you're dating and you're not sure if you're ready to get on the airplane, go ahead and hit our calendar link. Also, you can get a doctor and you can get a dating coach. Till next time.